Hey folks, my name is Mo Amir and this is Van Color, British Columbia's bona fide culture and politics TV talk show. Tonight we blur the lines between reality and fiction. All Elite wrestling star, the pride of Delta BC, Kyle O'Reilly is here to talk about the real sacrifices behind one of the most unreal careers in entertainment. Plus, the film Hunting Matthew Nichols dives into a decades-long disappearance on Vancouver Island. But how do we feel about real-life tragedy being made into content? But first, we know that social media isn't real life, but its harms are real. And for kids, that line can be hard to see. So governments are stepping in. Australia has already banned social media for youth under 16. France, Denmark, Indonesia, and Malaysia are also moving on similar bans. And here in Canada, 75% of Canadians support a ban, with BC's Attorney General pushing Ottawa to act. To make her case, journalist, media freelancer, content creator, I used to listen to her every day on my university commute. She now fills in at the world-famous CFOX, Rock 101, and CKNW, Charis Hogg. Charis, hello.
Hello, Mo.
So nice to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. Lovely to see you, as always.
So you're a mom of a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old, both boys. Mm-hmm. What real harms of social media are you concerned about as they're now in their teenage years and will be perhaps exploring more on the internet?
Yeah, definitely sexting. I think we know that particularly for boys, lots of news stories, lots of information about about catfishing, bullying, misinformation. All of those types of things are really concerning, and things that we talk about with our boys, just to try and educate them about the potential harms.
Yeah, and there's things like catfishing or misinformation that adults fall for, right?
Yeah,
and
totally.
Obviously, a young mind is much more susceptible, especially if you're not really aware of how social media works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think the concern about safety online, a lot of it can be addressed, at least on our end, through education.
Right.
And I think that's something that's different now for, our generation. The young kids coming up, I think we're just more aware of, we need to be in those spaces to a certain extent with them. We need to be monitoring them, because as much as, it might seem like a safe place, like, oh, they're just hanging out at home
with their friends,
exactly, whatever. They're not outside getting into trouble. We know now that it can be a harmful place to be online. And so, whether it's people coming into schools and doing presentations, like I know my kids have had that through the last number of years, or just educating parents and caregivers that, like, hey, this is something that you really should try and engage with your kids about,
right?
To try and keep them safe and give them the tools to navigate these spaces in a healthy way.
Now, I know that you structure your kids' times. They're in a lot of different activities. And I feel like generationally, there's always been this issue of screen time, too much video games, too much TV. What separates that concern of too much screen time from being on social media for when it comes to youth?
Well, it's tricky because I feel like it's just all about finding that balance, which is really hard. Kids gravitate towards the screens. Yeah. And it can feel like being online is sort of real life. It kind of blurs those lines. It's not. But it's not real life, right? There's real life and there's online. And as much as it sometimes feels like they might be the same thing, they're not. And so it's just really challenging finding the balance. I mean, I think for adults too, finding the balance between how much time do we spend online and how much time do we do things in real life, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think that there are lots of positives to kids having online access, whether it's finding a community, playing with friends, learning. These are all things that can happen online. But I think spending your entire time online and never going outside and climbing a tree or taking a bus to just go grab a donut somewhere or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like there are things that you miss out on if you're not having those in-person interactions.
And I feel like the inverse is also possible, where kids might think that it's online, so it's not real, even though consequences can be very real as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So when it comes to this social media ban that, Canadians seem to be in support of, our BC Attorney General is pushing for, do you support it as a parent?
On the surface, it seems like a really good idea.
Yeah.
We have limits for alcohol and cannabis, right? You have to go into a shop and show government ID to say, I'm of legal age to purchase this.
Kids get around those
But
rules.
kids get around it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's even more so online.
Yeah.
And it's a very different situation when you're giving your government ID to a major tech company to verify your age to use a product than it is to walk into a liquor store and say, here's my government ID.
Right.
So even though in theory it sounds like a good idea, I think practically implementing it is hugely problematic. And I just don't think that rushing to do that right now, when age verification software is not up to snuff, really ultimately makes it a safer space for kids. Because Australia only implemented this ban, 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So they are just into this. Very preliminary data is showing that there's still lots of kids under 16 who are using these platforms.
Right. Yeah.
And so, I think Canada should probably just pump the brakes, use Australia as an example to follow and see what's happening. Like Australia's jumping in and, being the guinea pig.
Yeah.
Like what's going to happen? Give it a year. Like do some measuring, see what the outcomes are before rushing into something like this that has major privacy concerns. And ultimately, I don't think when these companies are harvesting more of our data to try and age verify us, that we're really going to end up in a safer space overall.
Yeah. Where are they going to use that data? So what I'm hearing is more big mama, less big brother.
Well, really, I think governments need to go after these companies in ways that actually make the product safer for everyone.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
They're leeching off of us. And there are ways, and it's more complicated, obviously, than just an age ban.
Yeah.
But I think there are more, let's get to the cause of what makes social media harmful, not only for kids, but for adults too. And then let's big brother it.
Yeah, absolutely. Charis, thank you so much for your time and your insights.
You're welcome.
Folks, one of my favorite people, radio broadcaster and journalist Charis Hogg. Now, after some business, he's here. AEW's violent artist, Kyle O'Reilly, is up next.